And this woman took a phone call.
Yes. This woman answered the phone in the front row and looked at me like I was crazy when I said, who are you talking to?
Welcome back to Under Oath. Unpopular opinions.
I like these.
And this is unfair because this was written by somebody else. I wouldn't normally do this.
Okay.
It concerns stand-up comedy, what we do.
Okay.
Unpopular opinions.
I can't wait.
Ooh. Improv comedy is better than stand-up.
Oh. Sorry, I was cursed. Okay, we're biased first off. Okay, we're biased. Okay, we're stand-up comedians. So you tell me a different art form of stand-up comedy is going to be better. We're going to be like, not to offend.
No, I'm going to offend. I'm going to offend.
Okay, well, all right.
You don't prepare. Your talent exists in improv. You're a talented guy.
Yes.
Just have to be talented. No prep.
Yeah.
You can walk onto an improv stage and deliver immediately. Okay. What are we doing? Monkey throwing bananas.
Yeah.
Okay. I can do that with no prep.
Yep.
And stand up requires prep.
It does.
You need a script.
Yes.
You need to write a script. You got to practice. You got to do it. Now, some people are more talented than the other, but you don't get to walk up on stage with nothing. You can't just go, okay, go. And the audience gives you something and you just be funny. You know, stand-up requires prep. It requires working a set a bunch of times. I mean, when people see, like when you see a Chris Rock special or any comedian special, they've done that set 50 to 100 times.
At least.
They've worked it for a year, 2 years.
Yes, they have.
Well, whose line it is anyway, you could tape that in an afternoon.
Here's the thing about stand-up and here's the thing about improv. I believe that improv is a skill set. I believe it takes a lot of skill to do it.
I do.
And I think it's amazing when you see it done right.
Yep.
But I would say this. It'd be very tough for an improv person to do stand-up. But I think it'd be easier for a stand-up to go do improv. And I say that because during our actual shows, things are going to happen out of your control. And you're going to be able, or you're going to have to be able to improv in those moments and say things off the cuff. Do crowd work with people that is not written. I think we improv already during our set, so it'd be easier for us to do the other.
You can't do improv in an arena.
No, you can't.
I don't see four guys from Whose Line Is It Anyway filling 25,000 seat stadium.
Probably not.
Or a stadium.
No.
Well, one guy could get up and do an hour of stand-up for a huge arena.
Agreed. All right. Unpopular opinion. Comedians whose whole sets are crowd work are bad.
Trash.
Nah, disagree.
Trash.
Disagree.
No, it's lazy.
I've seen it.
It's lazy.
No.
Sometimes they're using jokes that I mean, come on, man.
Okay,
you know what I'm talking about.
I'll go first. I've seen a gentleman. There's a gentleman who's known in the comedy community. His name's Ian Bagg. He does a ton of crowd work, but he masterfully does it.
The whole set.
The whole set. He even has a special where he does crowd work. You can look it up. And it's great. He's funny as hell. He's very good at it. First off, to do improv or to do crowd work where it's impromptu stuff you're doing as a comedian, it's not easy. It's a skill set. And not everybody can do it. So it takes a special kind of comedian to make you laugh.
You know what I'm trying to say.
But what I'm saying, I'm telling you, yes, it can be funny. It is funny.
Okay.
Yes.
One out of how many people can do a whole hour of crowd work? Okay. For those who don't know, crowd work is when I just start asking questions to the audience.
Or something happens in the crowd and you address it and you make jokes about it.
But here's what happened. Ever since Matt Rife, everyone thinks that this is what we do. That all we do is start asking questions. Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, you have a vagina.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's you and I both know that's what people do.
Yeah.
And nothing is worse for me when I'm following a guy.
Yeah.
And he only has 10, 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And half of it is him screwing with the audience. You wanted to come out on stage. You wanted your time. You came in as a guest and you don't have 5 minutes. Either you have 5 minutes or you don't. You came to do 5 minutes.
Are you talking about people who do guest sets doing crowd work you don't like? Okay, that's different.
I'm talking guest sets. And if I have to follow you and half of your stuff was working with the audience, you would be furious at me if I was your feature. That means the guy who comes on who does 15 to 25 and
okay, I see where you're at. We're talking about two different things. There's a difference between headliners who do this. What you're talking about is the rules of comedy. Let me explain to people real quick. As a rule of comedy, the MC, the feature, does not do crowd work because
MC's your host.
that is reserved for the headliner.
The headliner
That's what you're talking
can
about.
do this,
Yeah,
but everybody before then has to.
Yeah, but we're
stay
talking
in their
about
lane.
Ian Baggs, a headliner. So it's different
Okay.
when he does crowd work.
I saw a comedian the other day, and I'm not going to say his name because the Russian in my life is a big fan of his.
She's not even Russian.
And got up, and his whole set was just him staring at a drink, talking to the audience every once in a while.
Got it.
And it wasn't good.
Okay.
It wasn't good.
Mhm.
But yeah, I crowd work to me is something that pops in and out, not something that you base a whole set on.
We'll agree to disagree.
Okay. But you only know one or two guys who do this.
Yeah, not a lot.
That's like prop humor. Everyone should do prop humor.
Not everybody, but I don't get mad when it happens.
No. Okay. Stand-up comedy is often only funny because of the occasion and drinks, not because of the comedy.
Really?
Who is living on this planet?
Yeah. Like
I mean, yeah, some people, the worst thing is the more people drink, the less
Hey.
they get your jokes.
sometimes.
And sometimes they get stupid and loud and ornery. It kills comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, remember that drunk lady in the front row when you and I were performing? I told her she was off to the right, and I said, listen, she's going to say stuff during your set. Be prepared for it. And this woman took a phone call.
Yes. This woman answered the phone in the front row and looked at me like I was crazy when I said, who are you talking to?
She goes, it's a booty call.
It's a booty call, yes.
Well, it's hard for me to disagree with it. Prioritize laughing at my jokes.
And I said, well, carry on. Like,
yeah. I mean, the hard thing is this, and this is screwed up. Comedy, it's a different monster
then,
when you're on the stage
yes.
or when you're watching it.
Yes.
And this isn't, oh, we're better than you. No, I have failed miserably in comedy some nights. And sometimes I've succeeded and you don't remember. And here's the thing. When you read this comment, you and I both, the insecurities of what we do poked up. And I got lit up on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it because, oh, they're only laughing because they're drinking. It's harder when they're drinking sometimes.
Sometimes it is.
And you're up there stage, and I can promise you this. I tried a case the other day, and there were 12 people watching me. It wasn't 1/8 as bad as when I'm on stage and there are 200.
Talk about it.
I had a life in my hands. I had the future of somebody. It was me, my reputation, everything else like this. It wasn't even close to being as hard as standing on a stage. And every second you have to account for.
That's right.
So yeah, when I hear that, it's not, stand-up is the hardest thing that I probably ever had to do other than taking care of my autistic kid.
Yeah.
You know, stand-up is
it's
hard.
It's lonely. You
it's
stand on
demoralizing.
You are by yourself. There ain't nobody to help you. It's hard to do comedy.
And people laughing does not make up for the one show that they didn't.
That's correct.
You are haunted by your failures.
Or the entire audience could be laughing, but that one guy in the front
making
row
making the face,
and you ruins your whole thing. You're like, man, I'm not doing a good job because there's one dude in the front who's angry. All right. Unpopular opinion. Netflix has killed stand-up comedy. This is very much false. Here's why. If you're going to tell me that comedy being available on streaming or TV ruined comedy, then they got ruined 20 years ago when they first made Comedy Central.
Think of Showtime.
Yes.
I remember
HBO.
I remember the first time I saw Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a 6. I think they did a contest, and it was on Showtime, and he was like the 7th comedian.
It was a showcase, yeah.
And he bombed. He was good, but they said he was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
He wound up becoming one of the best stand-ups ever.
A rock star.
What's the difference between Raw and somebody doing a Netflix special?
Nothing.
Nothing.
The
more people like it, the more opportunity they have to come to a live show.
Exactly right, man. I think Netflix has become a gateway for people to go to an actual show like you're saying. Yeah. If I see stand-up on Netflix, I'm like, man, this was a really good time. And then I see that same person on Netflix is going to be at my local A club for comedy. I'm going to go see that person perform. It gives you more opportunities, man. They haven't killed it. They just gave people a wider audience to enjoy their work.